Harambe YouTube, it is Charles here, and this is going to be the second video on this topic, and I'm going to go a little bit more in depth this time, since I've had a couple of days to look at the content being made around this subject, and that is the new Supergirl movie trailer. I want to start off with a caveat about my channel. I am a very small channel, I know that. I have a very small following, a little bit over 400 subscribers. I put out daily videos based on nerd content, but what I do is I put out content based on what I really enjoy and what I like and what I want to give a highlight to, a spotlight to. If there's something I read that I don't like, I won't review it. I'm all about positivity on this channel, and that's, like I said, it's not saying that everything I read is stellar or every action figure I unbox is great. I just focus on the positive. Now, that being said, I was very excited about the new Supergirl movie trailer because I really enjoyed the series it was based off of. Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow by Tom King came out in 2021. An 8-book series that I really enjoyed. And I was hoping that even though they were changing the antagonists from Krim to Lobo, I was hoping that they would keep everything else true to form. And so when I looked at the trailer, I was pleasantly surprised. It looked familiar. It felt like the comic book. Certain minuscule things were changed, but I saw enough of the comic book I read in there to be excited about it. So I went to check out other reviews of the trailers in hopes of finding more people really loving what they're seeing. What I saw was a bunch of hate. And the hate that I saw was weird because it was based off of suppositions based on 10-second clips from the trailer. And it started, I'm not going to name the channel because, like I said, I don't want to give a negative light or seem like I am trying to piggyback on another channel. That is not my intent. But this guy, it went from one 15-minute round video to another 15-minute video next day to a whole big roundtable discussion trashing this movie. But what they were trashing was not what was in the original material or the trailer. And to tell you how I know that is I have the whole 8-book series. I've read it and I watched the trailer. And so I'm going to go by point of the stuff the guy was bringing up and dispel it. Starting with the first criticism is that they said that Supergirl was a drunk party girl and it was going to be like a quote-unquote Tara Reid biopic. Supergirl is not a drunk in this series. Does she get drunk? Yes, she goes to a planet with a red sun so that she can actually feel the effects of being drunk for her birthday. In the whole 8-book series, there's about 7 pages about her celebrating her birthday at a bar on another planet and dealing with the hangover after effects. And so they're taking, again, one small part of the story and a few seconds of the trailer, and they decided that the movie is about a cynical lush who traipses around the galaxy doing whatever. And so that's one thing. The next point is a lot of people are making it sound like it was a feminist, raw women, Superman is bad thing. No, it's not. If you know Supergirl lore, she has a complicated history with Superman. And, after seeing her family getting destroyed and then coming here to find that the youngster that she knew was now, the most powerful person on this earth when she arrived. And he was older than her and he had this found family that she didn't have. And having to deal with the trauma of watching her planet destroyed. So yeah, she is going to be a little bit down, and she's not going to be as hopeful as Superman. Realistically, And they lean a little bit into that, but it's not anti-Superman. It's just part of her story. What else was there? There was also, this guy specifically said that it was going to be another team up, band of misfits, Guardians of the Galaxy-esque story, which is just false on every level. It's not that in the original material, and the trailer doesn't allude to that at all. Now she does end up teaming up with this other person who is seeking revenge against the same antagonist, and those two, they form a relationship and they travel with the shared goal of justice slash vengeance. But it is not a big, expansive team. It is about these two and their personal relationship and growing together throughout this, galactic travel, trying to track down this fugitive. And so it is, to call it a Guardians of the Galaxy knockoff is, I can't call it reductive because it's just not true. Not in the slightest bit. And in the video, the guy was like, well, they're using a song from the 80s, and they're trying to make it just like, they used a song in a 3-minute trailer. 3 minutes of the first trailer does not dictate the tone of the entire movie that is based on an entire series of comic books. And so those are the big 3 that I've seen, and I think a lot of it comes from too. Like I said, my channel is small, and there are reasons for that. I may not be the best presenter. I definitely don't have the best equipment. I'm just an old nerd talking about stuff I love. But the biggest space in nerd culture is not about positivity. It's about negativity. They know that if they put this movie's gonna flop in their thumbnail, or disaster in their thumbnail, or another James Gunn flop in their thumbnail, or the golden goose is the word woke. If they could put woke in the thumbnail, it doesn't matter what they say in the video. They just put this big boogeyman in the thumbnail and create a narrative around something that, in this case, is not even true. So that they can click farm. Get those clicks on their videos and stir up a little controversy, and it's effective because, I put out 6 videos a week that I put a little bit of time into. Just saying, toot my own horn, because like I said, my quality is not the best. But I have original music, I have intros, outros. I put a lot of work into these videos, and I usually get about 20 to 40 views on one of my regular videos. The video I put up in response to the critical bashing of the trailer is over 100 views. So I've done 2 to 3 times views on something that is in the spotlight for a negative reason. So that tells you what these guys are doing. But I don't have the time or energy for that. I want to share the joy that comic books and action figures and nerd culture gives me, and the release that it gives me. And I, if I'm going to take the time to record and edit a video and post it, it's going to be about something I love. So that being said, let's go to some of, again, the discourse on this particular subject. And we will start with the comment from my video on it. The video is why the critics are wrong about the Supergirl movie trailer. And so this person just says, well, that just means the comics are trash too. I don't get your point. And that was when I was pointing out how close it is to the actual comic. And my reply was, did you read them? Do you even know what the story is? and the guy did not respond. A lot of these people are trashing Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow without actually opening the book. They get their information secondhand from a lot of these nefarious actors who just trash it and create, like I said, they create a product to bash in order to have content. Going back to the original video to set this off, and then like I was saying too about my content, that video I made, it got the most views, and literally it was just spur of the moment, me ranting. Took just as long to record and post. And so the video I didn't put any work into got more views than the videos I put work into because I was reacting to something that is big in pop culture, and that's not going to be me. This video is going to be an extra video. I usually do one video a day, Monday through Saturday. Mondays, Fridays, Saturdays are usually comic book reviews. Tuesdays are comic book previews. Wednesdays are unboxings, and Thursdays are action figure unboxings. So stay tuned to the channel for positive nerd content. But let's go through some of the content, some of the discourse on this other creator's video. So we'll go here to this comment. The first 30 seconds of the trailer looks like a Tara Reid biopic. So they're referring to the part of the trailer where she is seen drinking on her birthday, frazzled hair. Again, we talked about that. 7 to 8 pages of a long book, maybe 30 seconds of the trailer, and all of a sudden, a small part of a trailer is the whole story to this guy. And so I comment to that effect, and some of the responses I got were, and the comic is crap and written by a CIA spook. So yeah, Tom King was in the CIA. I asked this guy if he read it, and I pointed out that I read it and I enjoyed it, and they did not respond. But I don't see what being a CIA agent. I don't even know if the guy was an agent. It just said he was an employee. It has to do with his writing ability. When I looked into Tom King, I actually found out he wrote one of my favorite series from a couple years ago, the Penguin series. It was 2 years ago. If you go back to this channel, I was reviewing at least every other issue of that book. It was my favorite book of the year. So his rebuttal is that the book is crap, even though he hasn't read it, and it was written by a CIA guy. And then another guy said they could adapt any of the better stories, but they picked the worst Supergirl comic. Amazing. He didn't point out what made it the worst, what he didn't like about it, if he read it. And then another quote is, 25 years ago, Tara Reid would have been cast in this version of Supergirl in 2025. Supergirl is now being written as Tara Reid. Again, going off of the drinking and the frazzled hair, which is one scene in one trailer. Again, more the whole discourse here. A lost episode of Living Rohan. The whole discourse on this one comment is about the drinking scene. And then, yeah, who's the villain? Well, it's obvious, Lobo. They've been promoting that forever. And then a lot of James Gunn hate, even though he's not involved with this story. A lot of the anti-feminist talk going on here. A lot of the comments I am not reading because they are pretty vulgar. And in this comic, this is not Supergirl. This is What If Hot Tool Girl was from Krypton, which again is misguided. So because a character goes out to drink one time, they're drunk and immoral. Accountability is a woman's doomsday. Woman's doomsday. Again, more sexism. And this guy says, I'm not even American. I'm getting pissed off with the blatant exclusion of and the American way. It's not a Superman movie. Why are you even bringing that to this? Everyone who told me, come on, give James Gunn a chance, owes me a massive apology. Again, not a James Gunn movie. So, yeah. The whole point of this video is know what you're looking at and what you're watching and who your information is coming from. A lot of these guys, they make their YouTube monetization off of trashing stuff. And I guarantee you that this creator had his review of the trailer written before he saw the trailer. Because his review wasn't misguided. It wasn't misunderstood. It was just wrong. And I don't speak in definite terms unless I know. And his review was wrong. He didn't read the comic, didn't pay attention to the trailer. So take that for what it's worth, and don't take my word for it. Question me. Read the original material. Watch the trailer. And decide for yourself, because what happens is here lately with social media, a lot of people, they delay or miss out on something that they really enjoy because somebody on the internet wants a title that they will click on. And so they hate for monetization. And I mean, I guess if I'm going to give myself a plug, you subscribe to me, you're not going to get the same nerd culture content you get in other places. You're not going to get the critical, angry rants or reviews. You're probably not going to get the quality you're used to, but you are going to get nerd positivity. And my honest opinion and critiques on the stuff I critique, and on the rare occasion that I do bring up something negative, I always caveat that with, that is my opinion. And I try to find the good in even things I don't like. So that's my thoughts on it. Stay tuned. Later on today, we're going to be doing another comic book review. Tomorrow, we have what's coming up for New Comic Book Day. And then Wednesday, we're doing the Comic Book Day unboxing. Thursday, a G.I. Joe action figure unboxing. So I'll see you guys next time. Until then, keep reading them books. And do not listen to grifters. I'm out.